Hello, hello, and welcome to Temple of Falsepod, where decks are not optimized, but our plays sure as heck are fun. I'm Andy.
I'm Bruce.
And welcome to the mid-season awesome show.
Yeah. The mid-season awesome show. It's always my favorite show every season.
Mm-hmm.
Of all of the mid-season shows,
it's the most awesome.
Is the most awesome. Yes.
Yeah. We have a tradition here where the 5th episode of the season is Temple's Treasures. We like to look at underplayed cards from Magic's history, emphasis on history.
Yes.
That you should be looking at. So we went through like all the sorceries, we went through all the instants, we went through all the enchantments of Monocolored. So this week we're gonna do our favorite underplayed gold enchantments. That's it. That's the And we have 2 rules. 1,
yes,
before 8th, first printed before 8th edition, so old bordered. Right. Second rule, under 2,000 decks on EDH Rec. There was, I counted, 36 cards to choose from here.
Yeah.
And so we each chose a handful. We'll talk about probably a couple each, and they're really cool.
They are. The whole point of this is to show you cards that you probably haven't heard of that could go into your decks. So that's sort of the reason why we chose 2,000 as our number. So we're not here to try and provide you with cards that you've already heard of. We want you to see something new, or something new to you.
And to be fair, gold enchantments as a whole, there's 62 of them. So like it's not like we're like cutting down like a huge thing down to 36. There are 62 enchantments that were released before 8th edition that are multicolored. So I think we got a pretty good selection here.
I'm pretty happy with this. I think we've got some good cards for folks.
Yeah. I'll start us off with this awesome card. It's called Wellspring. Can you guess? An enchantment. It's an enchant land. It's an enchantment aura. Enchant land. When this aura enters, gain control of enchanted land until end of turn. Until end of turn, but it's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, untap enchanted land, then you gain control of that land until end of turn. It's white, green, 1, so 3 mana total. It's pretty awesome. It's like taking a land, but without any of the political downside, unless it's like a Maze of Ith, right? Like if you're being hosed by a Maze of Ith, you can take it, and now they can't use it on your combat.
Look, they did it to themselves. Anybody who has an issue with you borrowing their land, you're just getting what they're getting, and you're returning it. This isn't as though you are messing with their land. I mean, you get it, you use it, you return it. It's all set.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't one of those situations where, you're stealing somebody's creature and then you're immediately sending it into combat knowing it's just going to die. You're not stealing it to kill it. In this case, you're stealing it because you want to use it. Now, whether you need particular mana, borrowing a command tower, or going in and doing the far more interesting things like the Maze of Ith or a Rogue's Passage or whatever. There are so many options with this. And on top of that, at the end of your turn, you're giving it back to them. Yeah. It's just not that big a deal.
Right. More often than not, you're going to be using this on a utility land. You're not going to be using it on like a basic forest, right? And if you are, then, hey, now you have a tool that got you up 1 more. With this, even if you are taking like just a mana producing land, it's an easy way to like force your opponent to think more about like what they're tapping, when they're tapping it. And so like if you enchant, a blue source, right? Like then they're going to have to be more intentional about their counter spells and whatever. So that's in 570 decks.
All right. My card. I'm going to go with Corrosion. Corrosion. It's 1 black red. It's an enchantment. It has cumulative upkeep 1. For folks who don't know about cumulative upkeep, because I know this is on fewer and fewer cards, cumulative upkeep. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an age counter on this permanent. Then sacrifice it unless you pay its upkeep cost for each age counter on it. So this means you play it for 3, and then on your next upkeep, you have to, because the cumulative upkeep is 1, you have to pay 1. And you have the age counter on it. On your next upkeep, you put another age counter on it. Now you have to pay 2, then 3, then 4, etc., etc. You don't have to pay this. You can choose not to, and then the card is sacrificed. So you will lose the card. So it's definitely set up as a way to limit for how long you keep this card in play. All right, so what does the card do? At the beginning of your upkeep, put a rust counter on each artifact target opponent controls. Then destroy each artifact with mana value less than or equal to the number of rust counters on it. Artifacts destroyed this way can't be regenerated. When this enchantment leaves the battlefield, remove all rust counters from all permanents. Now, 1, it says target opponent. So you get to pick 1. Just 1. This is not all opponents. Unfortunately, it is target. Because I was reading the Oracle hoping that this had been errata to cover all my opponents. It has not. So back when this card was created, this was designed to handle Moxes and Black Lotus.
And Soul Ring.
And Soul Ring. The first ones cost 0. You drop that 1 cumulative upkeep, you pay the 1, all of those disappear. Gone. They're just gone. And if you're willing to go to 2, there's a whole lot more options that could come out as well. But realistically, the goal of this was to get rid of Mox. So nowadays, most people aren't playing with Moxes or Black Lotuses. So this is probably no good nowadays, right? I mean, nobody has artifacts that cost 0, right?
Right.
No. Nobody plays with treasures or clues or
food.
Or mutagen or blood or whatever else artifact token is being played.
So many.
There are so many. This thing you are going to destroy an opponent. This is on upkeep, meaning if they want to respond to this, they can sack all their treasures. But at the end of the upkeep, all that mana is gone. And it's just, you're getting what you wanted out of this anyway. Couple things to keep in mind. When you come around and do that cumulative upkeep for 2, you can pay the 2, but it says at the beginning, it put it on target opponent controls. You can change your opponent. So now you're looking at a different opponent and you're putting a rust counter. Now, admittedly, you're only putting your first rust counter on that one and you've just paid 2, but everything then dies from that as well. So you can shift your opponents from one to the next, or you can focus on one person if they perhaps have some artifact that costs 3 that you really want to get rid of. This is probably not the best way to do that, but when I saw this, I just immediately thought about all the treasures and clues and all these token artifacts that are created that don't cost anything that you can get rid of immediately. I love this. I think this is a great option, especially when you're looking at black and red, which don't tend to have a lot of artifact removal. And this is only 3. I know you've got to keep it out there until your next upkeep, but I find this very interesting. And you can also politic. Make sure everybody knows. It's like, well, what are you going to offer me so I don't pick you as my target? I like this card. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And Corrosion is in 466 decks. Not many at all.
It's fun. I want to check it out.
Yeah.
My next card, I'll do Monsoon.
Okay.
The Gruul player's favorite new enchantment. And by new, I mean it's from Ice Age. It's green, red, 2. 4 mana. I'll read the card and then I'll read the Oracle text. Whenever any island is untapped at the end of its controller's turn, tap it. Monsoon deals 1 damage to that player. The Oracle text says, at the beginning of each player's end step, tap all untapped islands that player controls, and this enchantment deals X damage to the player, where X is the number of islands tapped this way. This is a perfect, hey, your spells can't be countered card. There's no way that this is ever going to do any damage to anyone, because mana burn, unfortunately, Bruce, does not exist anymore.
Yes. Yes.
Unless you're playing Urlock, I'm sure this is the number one card in Urlock. But so the damage is irrelevant, but you're tapping all their islands, and unless they have like a way to untap things on other players' turns, outside of free counter spells, this turns them off. And in Gruul colors, red and green, you kind of really want that. I think it's nifty. It's great. It is one of those things that it doesn't like it's a Staxy kind of card. Stax-ish, I guess.
Sure.
Stax light.
Yeah.
Where you're cutting people off of their mana, but it's not for no reason. It's not to just cut them from their mana. They can still use their mana. They just have to do it on their turn.
Yeah.
And so in the very least, you're paying 4 mana, and then they're probably going to get a turn where they have to tap all their stuff, all their islands.
Yeah.
And then kind of, I don't know, like they're probably going to remove it, and then you got your 4 mana worth.
Well, more and more when people are playing, like, this also goes after any of the duels that list the basic land types.
Yes.
And more people are only including those in their decks, as opposed to any of the duels that don't list the basic, because it's so much easier to search for those basics, or for those duels that have the basic land types listed. This one catches all those and shuts them off. That's spectacular. I love that. The other thing that I hear from a lot of folks when you get this kind of card, this is great, except, in the games where it's just not, because, it only ever hits islands. Like, think of the last game you played. How many people were playing blue? And then think about the game before that, and the one before that, and the one before that. And how far do you have to go back until you finally find a game where nobody's playing blue, or even half the time where one person isn't playing blue? In the current age of Commander, where everybody is running, 3-color decks, shutting off blue is not necessarily a bad thing, and you will, for the most part, shut off all of the blue.
Yeah. This card's in 465 decks.
Okay.
I would suggest to check it out. It's under $1.
Perfect. My next one, we're going to go back to Selesnya. Nature's Blessing. I loved Nature's Blessing when I was playing. I had multiple copies of it because we were doing 60-card casual back then. Nature's Blessing, it's white, green, and 2. And it is... it activates for white and a green, and you discard a card, and then you can do one of these options. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, or target creature gains banding, first strike, or trample.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm not going to explain banding, because that's really not the one you're going to pick. But realistically, you're looking at first strike, trample, and that +1/+1 counter. There are so many decks that use +1/+1 counters. This is a great way to do it. I appreciate the cost on that is pretty high. But honestly, if you're running this in your deck, you're working out ways to manage that discard. And the trample ability is trample and first strike is really where this thing shines. These are combat tricks. They're out of nowhere. I appreciate, again, I understand the discarding the card it can be harsh, but again, you're building around that.
And I mean, like, if you are including a third color, say black, I mean, even green to an extent, really shine in the graveyard. Do you want to talk about the creme de la creme of this card, the peak? It doesn't say until end of turn. So it's not like a lot of cards where, like, it happened. Well, oh, you've got first strike till end of turn, but then next turn, you've got first strike forever.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's on the battlefield, blah, 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 blah. But that's, like, huge, right? Like, it does kind of make up for the cost of 2 mana and discarding a card.
It is easy to read this and forget that it is indefinite, because nowadays that would be it would put a +1/+1 counter or a trample counter or a first strike counter or a banding. It would put a counter on there, so there'd be a marker there to remind you of what it does. This doesn't do that. It's just, nope, it has trample now. You, because it's old school Magic, you'll just remember that in your head. And so will your opponent. And no, they will not. They will not. I'm not encouraging you to fake it, but they won't.
Yeah, right. I think if you're playing this card against me, I'll allow you to put counters on it, as long as we have the understanding that they're not actually counters, right?
Yeah, you have to have some kind of marker.
Right.
You are going to forget.
Yeah.
You're going to forget. It just, you will. But yeah, these are all permanent.
That's
so
crazy.
They're just going to sit there and sit there and sit there. And I had plenty of decks where this really does come into play. Remember, this was old school, where not a lot of green creatures had trample. It was just the super expensive ones that had trample. So this was just an easy way to add trample onto one or more of your creatures. Also, there's nothing that says you can only do this once. You can do it. You can do it twice, 3 times, 4 times. As long as you've got cards to discard, you can do that. It doesn't have to be on your turn. It can be on an opponent's end step. It can be during their combat. I can't remember how many cards or how many decks this is in an EDH. I believe it was somewhere in the 500 range, but
it is in 579.
Right. This card is too good. It is just too good. I'm convinced people are reading it and missing out on that
forever.
Till on the forever clause. It's instant speed, and it's all over the place. I love this. This is just great.
My next one is Reckless Assault. It's red, black 2. For 1 mana and pay 2 life, this enchantment deals 1 damage to any target. You're 2 for 1ing yourself in terms of damage, but sometimes you really need just a couple to get through. If you're there are 2 like huge ways that I think about this. One, in decks that care about you paying life, right? Like you got Villas or Basil, is that his name?
I don't remember.
The Dark Cecil, Dark Knight from Final Fantasy, where it cares about you paying life. It cares about you making your life total go up and down. Or the other thing I can see this working well in is if it cares about you controlling your life, your opponent's life totals. Paying 2 life is a lot to do 1 damage. I think that it's at least worth looking at in a lot of red or black decks, because there are a lot of times it kind of screws. I mean, it screws up your opponent's blocking math, because they'll block with something expecting it to survive because it does all but 1 damage, and then you can go over the top and kill it. It just gets the juices going for me, right? Like I'm like, there's gotta be somewhere that I can put this that like really does the thing.
Well, as bizarre as this sounds, this goes great in Pillow Fort. Opponents don't want to attack you if they're trying to work out the combat math as to whether or not they can swing in with a creature and it will survive. If on top of that, they just have to track and be like, oh, Andy also has 3 mana open, so I could be taking any one of my creatures could take 3 damage. So now suddenly they're like, well, if I swing at Andy, I could lose any of these creatures. So suddenly now they're looking elsewhere. Can I hit somebody else and not have to go through that risk? And technically, no, that still doesn't work, because now if you swing at somebody else, Andy could finish off your creature. Yeah. Admittedly, he takes a lot of damage to do it, but you could finish off the creature. This works as a Pillow Fort, and if you're not using it to ping off opponents' creatures when they swing elsewhere, or you make it clear that you won't, you can encourage folks to go elsewhere, and you never have to pay any of the life or any of the mana to do it. Right. You're just constantly threatening it.
A very rattlesnakey card.
Yes, very much.
And I think that along the same lines, it's very much how I like to play, and my play group has been, catching on to this of like, stay in second or third, don't seem too much of a threat, and then at the end of the game, kind of sweep it all up and win, right?
Right.
My play group has started to attack me early because they know this. But with this card, I think it does pump their brakes on that plan. But also, like, if you play this, turn 7, and you're doing that thing, you're like staying kind of back. You've got a higher life total than everybody, and then everybody else is just like dogpiling on each other and just kind of like bringing everyone's life totals down. You're still gonna be a little higher than everyone. You can at least like chip away at their life totals, even if it is at the cost of your own.
Right.
Granted, it's 1 damage per thing, but there are plenty of cards now, Thor related, or that guy from Warhammer, where it's like dealing non-combat damage also adds this much, right? Or like dealing 1 point of damage turns it into 4 or whatever. Where this doesn't have to necessarily be just 1 damage per activation,
right?
Which is exciting. This card's in 186 decks.
Wow. Paying 2 life for 1 damage is going to scare people away. When they look at it without playing it, without really stopping and thinking about it, that's going to scare people away. But it's damage anywhere. You need to finish off an opponent hanging on there at 1. Yeah, you pay 2 life to do that. I mean, there's all sorts of, cases where adding that 1 more point of damage or 2 can really make a difference in a game. So
yeah. What's your last one, Bruce?
My last one? Okay, so we're going to go a little old school.
Hell yeah.
Old school in mana cost.
Oh,
7? This one, just wait. This one is Yavamaya's Embrace. This is a green, blue, and 5. So this is 8 mana.
Oh my God.
And I appreciate in today's day and age, 8 mana. This enchantment should say you win the game.
Hey man.
However,
this baby was reprinted in Double Masters 1.
It was, and I'm confident that many of you out there may have seen this card because of those reprints. But this is an aura. So not only is it 8 mana for a permanent, it's an aura, which means you're attaching it to a creature. You're just asking to throw away this mana. Enchant creature, you control the enchanted creature. And enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has trample.
Okay.
You take your opponent's creature, it gets bigger, it has trample, you swing it back at them or at somebody else, and it's much bigger, much stronger, and you pound away. This card is only in 508 decks, and everybody listening knows exactly why, because I just told you what the mana cost was on this thing. You are not paying the mana cost on this. This is a card that belongs in decks that give you a way to dodge the mana cost, because you're just not paying 8. There are some creatures out there that, yes, you would pay 8 to take, but it seems unlikely you're going to do it with this. Once you get a hold of that creature, they can destroy the creature, they can disenchant the enchantment. There are so many ways to get rid of the creature, or to stop that from swinging at them. But this is a really good card if you ignore the mana cost. You are taking away their creature. It is a permanent. This is not borrowing it for a turn crap. This is, I am taking your creature. This is full on control magic. And on top of that, I'm also making it bigger and giving it trample. So you're not just preventing them from having it. You are now going to use it effectively against them. And I mean, I appreciate when they created this card, they said, oh, this is control magic. How much does that cost? Okay. And now we're also going to we're going to pump it and we're going to give it trample. Oh, so we should add this much more. Blah. There we go. And they created a card that, that no one wants to pay 8 for. So find ways around that cost. And this card will pay dividends for you. So
yeah, it's interesting because the next card that I could think of that is close to this is Confiscate, which is 6 mana, where you just gain control of target permanent, sure, but the 2 extra mana for the restriction of it being a creature and to give it +2/+2 and trample doesn't
Yeah,
seem like a lot, but like it really, that trample does a lot.
it does. I know that a lot of times you're stealing some small creature to prevent your opponent from getting that benefit, or it offers you some ability that is really good. This one is also saying, you know what? You can take anything.
Yeah.
You know, we're just going to make it that much better. I keep thinking of a card like Wormcoil Engine. You're happy to just take that, sit
Mm.
on it, and know that when somebody kills it, you're going to get 2/3/3s out of the
Yeah.
deal. Well, this one, not
Makes it
only
an
are you going to
8/8.
take it, but now it's an 8/8, and it's got trample along with everything else. I'm just like, oh my God. It's just wham. And you're just hammering opponents.
Yeah.
You are forcing them to get rid of it.
I think
And it's just, oof.
I think the fun thing here is that it does both +2/+2 and trample. I think it would
Yeah,
be an interesting card, to say the least, but not this
right.
interesting if it did one or the other, or gave you the option. But the fact that it does both means that the trample is nice if you're going to attack with it. But if you're
Yeah,
not going to attack with it because you want to keep it, whether it's
right.
because it's got like great, activated ability, or just keeping it out of your opponent's hands, giving it a bigger body is protection.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Yeah,
amazing protection, but it is
yeah,
protection. And I think
right.
that counts for a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As,
And
as,
go ahead.
as I was going to say, as someone who has stolen an opponent's Hypnotic Spectre, I said this was old school Magic. Someone who's stolen an opponent's Hypnotic Spectre to now hit with a flying 4/4 trample, and then, now they have to discard a card at random. This is wonderful. And as someone who has stolen an opponent's creature, swung at them, and had the enchantment destroyed, this is horrible. So do keep that in mind. Again, you shouldn't pay 8 for this. You
My, yeah.
need to find ways around the cost. So yeah.
I could look at these all day.
When you look through, when we picked this topic, I initially was like, oh, this is going to be miserable, because there just weren't that many gold cards back then, especially enchantments. And I was thinking, oh, this is going to be a whole lot of truly lousy cards.
Yeah.
And that we were going to be having to dig really hard to find something that was good. It just wasn't the case. I mean, I had a 5th chromatic armor. I'm not really going to go into it, but suffice to say, protection from a color, and you can change it. I mean, nothing wrong with that. There were plenty of options, and there are plenty of these cards that are really good, that are seeing play now because they've had so many reprints. Don't sleep on these cards.
I feel like the term budget it comes in waves, right? I think that
Yeah,
we're currently in an era where budget commander is almost a dirty word, where people recognize that playing budget means that you're playing unoptimally, or like you're playing slower, right? And I think
yeah,
that, like, while that may be true, I think that it also disregards why people play commander. I think that where a lot of these cards are technically budget,
yeah,
um, looking at a card and deciphering the use for you is much more important than, the price tag. Sure, you could, instead of Monsoon, you could have Rhythm of the Wild, right?
yeah.
Where, like, your stuff can't be countered or whatever. But like,
Mm-hmm.
this has a much broader use case, and with that, I mean, it's much more interesting play patterns, and like, it's not from like a hipster kind of like, oh,
Right.
I know this card that you don't, but like from like a playing interesting cards also, is just fun.
I love a card where your opponent has to reach across the table and said, "Can I read that?"
Right?
And on top of that, we listed off a card on the reserve list. None of the cards that we mentioned here were over $1.50.
Right.
These are all inexpensive cards. So it's not like we're looking to break the bank either. So
Yeah. I think it's great. And I love doing this episode every season. I'm wondering where we'll go from here. I suppose it's probably going to be either gold sorceries or gold instants, but we'll have to find out in about 12 weeks. So come back in 3 months. No, come back next week. We're going to be talking about Mystery Booster Commander Edition.
Yes.
We're going to talk about our favorite legends that have been previewed, and we'll talk about what that means. Maybe in following episodes. But that'll do it for us this week. We're Temple of Falspod. We'll be back next week. If you were watching on YouTube, listening wherever podcasts are found, make sure you press follow, subscribe, press like, give us a comment, add us on Bsky, whatever. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We're Temple of Falspod, where our decks are not optimized, but our plays sure as heck are fun. I'm Andy.
I'm Bruce.
Yeah. Play some magic for me. May your 5th land be the temple.
Bye!
Wait. Before you go, I just wanted to say thank you for listening. You can reach out to us via email at falsepodmtg@gmail.com or in Bsky @falsepodmtg. Bruce is @manaburned, and I'm @AndyWeekend, though you'll definitely notice I use the podcast Twitter far more often. Now that we've got you here, make sure you subscribe, like, rate us on whatever podcast platform you use. It helps us out. It gets us more reach. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Like a video there. Leave some comments for more casual enjoyment. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back with some more timeless discussions about all things casual. So come hang out, and may your 5th land be the temple. Bye-bye. Should I do my best, Bruce? Bye!